Ahoy! This is Jordan Killiard for thesoundarchitect.co.uk, and today I'm going to be having a look at Umlaut Audio's new library, Motors. Now, Motors is a 1.3 gigabytes drum loop library, and it's running on the full version of Native Instruments Kontakt 5.6.8. So note, you will need the full version, it's not a Kontakt player library. There are 140 presets included, and in those presets they're divided up into 3 folders: simple, complex and experimental. And the source audio is 80 soundscapes, as Umlaut Audio call them. And once you combine that with how many presets there are and the key switch variations there are on each preset, you have a lot of material to get through. So let's have a look at the interface. And here's the interface. It's pretty straightforward. Layer 1 in the blue on the left, layer 2 on the right hand side in the red. And then you'll see out on the keyboard, down here, everything spanned on the blue on this side, red up this side. Now, by default, this little keyboard link thing is switched on, and what that does is if you press a blue key down here, it plays the red one of the same note the few octaves higher. You can turn that off so that then you can, if I hit it here, you'll see it's only going to trigger these blue ones, which then leaves me free to trigger the red ones. And then I can play different notes if I want. So I could play the C down here, and then hit the G up there. For the time being, I'm going to keep them linked up together though. In the middle here, you have the mix between the two. I'll have a little fiddle with that. So we're hearing everything from layer 1 in the blue. And then we're just hearing layer 2. We can blend in between. And when I was trying to write my track, what is a good thing, what I tried out was we can right click, learn CC automation, and then I would kind of assign it to one of my little fades here, so that when I hit the note, if I'm all the way down at 0, it's 100% blue, all the way at the top, 100% red. So I can start off and slowly move it up. Let's forget that for now. In here, so you have all the same controls for each individual layer. You can do everything you want to each layer. And again, what I like to do is assign a fader to the cutoff of each layer. And then it makes it a bit more your own. You have a lot of options of the type of filters you can have. And just up above it is the sound that it's using. So let's just go. We're just listening to 100% layer 1. But what you can do is you can click on it and you can pick from any of the different sound sources, the soundscapes as they call them. So if you like a particular rhythm that this is making, but you wanted to hear it on a different sound, let's hear both layers again. You can do the same, you can on layer 2, change that for a different sound, just randomly pick one. And talking about randomly choosing one, there's a little random button up here. Let's click that. And it randomly picks them. So we're still getting still the same preset, but we're using different sound sources. And this is what I was talking about earlier, is you have a lot of presets, you have a lot of different sound sources, and when you combine all of that and you can start randomizing things, there's a lot of stuff to choose from for your $99. Okay, and for each layer, you can control a series of different effects. Layer 1 is always in blue, layer 2 in red. And then we have our solid EQ, tape saturator, distortion, lo-fi, transient, compressor, and modulation. You control these for layer 1, do it for layer 2, and you've got a global set as well. And you have some sends. Inside each layer as well, what you can do, down here, click on the mod button, you have some modulation effects. And you can control a whole series of different ones on that as well. Envelope, LFO, sequence. If I click on sequence, then I get my little thing here, which you can put up to 32 steps if you like. And if that's a little bit small, because I do find the UI just a bit small for my liking, but what really handy for changing this is down here, choose pattern zoom. And then you can see it a lot better. And then you go back down and click on the mod bit again, and it takes it back. And you can change the sequence to control either the global volume, pan, tune, etc., or you can just make it so that it does layer 1, do it so layer 2. So what you could have is you could have the pan for layer 1 on this side on a mod, and then you could do exactly the same thing on sequence 2 and do it for the pan on layer 2. And then you could have it a global tune one. Let's see what we can do with that. So you've got a lot of options. There's tons of stuff that you can do to these sounds. And again, layer 1's always in blue, layer 2's red, and then you have the global effects are always in yellow. So let's go back. Let's turn these off for now. And what we might do is just play my piece, and then I'll tell you what I did to make it. I'm not going to go into great detail about all these different bits here. You can see there's some sends for the reverbs and the delays. Umlaut already have a really good video by Ruben showing you how everything works, so I'm not going to go through it all now. Let's have a look at my piece. So what I did is I had 2 instances. This is just the one for me to show you what we're doing now. And I had 2 instances of motors running. And let's just play it. Okay, there we go. Nothing too complicated there. I think probably a good way of showing what Motors is doing is I'm going to just play the first maybe 15, 20 seconds again, and then I'm going to play it without any of my instances of Motors running. Okay, let's listen to it without it. Okay, so what it seems to me that it's doing is it's adding it, it's giving it a pulse, it's giving it a pace. I think when Motors is running, it feels like it's driving itself along, and as soon as you take it out, the whole thing feels really slow and sedate. So I guess what I'm going to be using Motors for mostly is just sitting there in the background and just giving it a nice pulse, a nice rhythm, and just creating something a bit interesting going on underneath. So if I let's listen to here a bit later on in the piece. Let's listen to it without Motors. And then with. So it's just filling in that background. It's giving it a bit of pace. I think it just makes it feel a bit more kind of interesting. And I think it's really useful for that kind of underscore bits and pieces where you just need something, not drawing too much attention to itself, but giving it a nice little pulse and rhythm sitting there in the background. Issues with Motors, the only thing I've found is that it's a little bit CPU intensive. On my machine, I've got a couple of them here, and what I've actually ended up doing is I've frozen them a little bit, because while it's been okay running by itself, when I've got my screen software running in the background capturing everything, it's been pushing it a little bit off to the limit. So what I've found is if I'm using any more than 2 of these, I just need to freeze my tracks a little bit. Now I'm running an older computer, so if you're running a more recent machine, you'll probably be fine. But just something to think about if you're kind of running a kind of, like I'm a 2010 Mac Pro, it's kind of pushing the CPU just a little bit. I found a couple of the sounds where, let's have a look inside. Everything feels nice and clean. I did find on a couple of... It's maybe just me being a bit picky. I could just occasionally on a couple of the organic sounds, I can just hear a little bit of ringing. There's just like a tone there in the background. And I can just hear that in the background a bit. And that bothered me a little bit. That just seemed like something maybe when they were recording the samples that they used, they could have maybe recorded it just a touch cleaner. There's a couple like that. There's a couple with a little bit more hiss than I would have liked. Maybe just needed a bit of RXing to try and tidy it up a bit. But I don't think it's really going to be a problem. It's going to be sitting there in the background, kind of underscore, just kind of under other things going on. So it's nothing that I notice in my pieces when I've been writing with it. But just when I'm playing it by itself, I've just thought, oh, that sounds a little bit, I don't like that noise there. I might have to do a bit of my own noise reduction for that, which is something I wouldn't really expect to have to do for library. But in my opinion, it's $99. There's a lot of material. There's a lot of, you can see here all these presets divided up into these folders. You've got clean, complex, and experimental. And you can randomly pick one of these. Yes, really, please. And you can... There's a lot you can do. I think as soon as you start getting into it and you start messing around with the effects... And again, all of these effects, right-click, learn CC automation, and then you can use your controller to do things with them. So again, the same thing is what it was like with Ubeat. It's just, you've got a lot of controls. So you can take their presets, you can take their sounds, and then start doing things with them. Again, let's see, let's turn off, where was the distortion? Let's turn that off. Lo-fi, crush, turn it on. And I used that on one of my patches for this one. It's just good, and all of that stuff you can just automate and have running. Up here, where's on my track? On here, I've got lots of stuff, not lots of stuff, but I've got a control automated. I've got the modulation as well. So let's listen if this is going to be happy. So what you'll see down here is I've got the tape saturation coming up. And what this is also doing, when you put the mod wheel up, let's put it back down. So when the mod wheel's down at 0, it's playing normally. If you start pushing up about halfway, it starts to reverse it. So again, there's a lot of possibilities. It's not just, you can't, if you just sit there and want to hold down a key, then yeah, you can do that. But watch out. But if you start messing around with everything, you'll just find that it's all really customizable. And if you're willing to put a bit of time into making these kind of changes, the cut off, then you're going to find that you're going to be able to make a lot of sounds, and you're going to get a lot out of this. And again, for $99, you're getting a lot of material. So I really think it's worth getting. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this review of Umlaut Motors. For the full written review, head on over to thesoundarchitect.co.uk. You can check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/thesoundarchitect.co.uk. Our Twitter handle is @SoundDesignUK, and our YouTube page, youtube.com/SoundDesignUK. Thanks for watching.